Sedona's Red Rock splendor is full of stories, everything from geology, archaeology, and Native American myths. You can spend hours looking up at this just spectacular glory. But if you want a different kind of experience, something you will never forget, we suggest going up high and looking down at it from above. Silent, stunning, special. Floating in a basket below a brightly colored balloon rising into the Sedona skyline. But don't be fooled, there is a lot of ability that goes into making all this tranquility. It starts back here on the ground, usually right at sunrise. The team from Northern Light Balloon Expeditions are putting several rides into the air this morning. That means stretching out the fabric, firing up the burner, fanning the flames to move the hot air into the balloons, securing the baskets the passengers will ride in. There is a fair amount of huffing and puffing, hardware and hard work before anybody oohs and ahs.
Oh my God, we're bursting. Hold it, pull it back.
At moments like this, balloon launching can get a bit like bronco riding.
All right, yeah, let's go do this now.
This is my first experience in taking this kind of ride.
At first, with the liftoff, I was a little bit nervous before the balloon came up because this is my first ever balloon ride.
I was a little apprehensive when it wasn't blowing up and getting off the ground.
Well, we're getting west, maybe a touch of southwest. That's a
When we took off at liftoff, it's kind of like when you go on a plane, you don't really realize you're off the ground until you realize, oh, that's what it used to be like this big, now it's like that.
You just sort of lifted off and then you were floating. It was spectacular.
So, where are we going? In some ways, that's just up to wherever the wind is blowing.
Once up, it was like that song, you know, up, up and away in that big balloon.
Here comes the sun.
Oh my God!
Oh, you can see our shadow.
Amazing.
Balloon rides don't generally make a beeline into the towering red rock features of Sedona, and truly no two rides are ever the same.
It was really quiet, peaceful.
As long as you don't think about the fact that you're hundreds of feet in the air in an oversized laundry hamper packed full of high explosives, it's pretty relaxing.
No landing gear, no runway. Where your ride ends up comes down to avoiding obstacles and some artful up and down maneuvers by the pilot.
The landing was unexpected. We kind of came down and we weren't sure where we were going, actually.
It was just like sliding, and then I was like, oh, we're stopped. No longer in the air, so it's really fun.
I think it was too short. Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism.
The boats all go right about 10 miles an hour. They don't go very fast.
What these luxury houseboats on Lake Powell lack in speed, they more than make up for in pure pleasure.
I'm Dave Taylor, president of Adonia Yachts. We build custom yachts. So the build process is we normally meet with the client, we come up with a floor plan. The process normally takes, the average is 6 months. It can be longer depending on the complexity of the boat. But we build everything from the ground up on the boat.
How much luxury? Well, see this H on the top? That doesn't mean houseboat. It doesn't mean huge. H is for helicopter. As in, bring it in for a landing right here?
I'm Courtney. Welcome to our boat. Come on in and I'll show you what's so special. Walking down this hallway, we have 4 master-sized bedrooms and bathrooms. With 4 adult children in this family, we like to each have our own places to sleep and get ready for the day. They're comfortable, they're sizey, and we really love them. So this is the fridge, not so ordinary. We like to cook while we're here, so we make sure that it's stocked and ready to use. Lots of space to keep things cool.
The boat has to be self-sufficient. Not only do we have to create our own power, we have to make our own water, we have to hold our own sewage, and so the boat has to be completely self-sufficient out on the lake. There is no connections whatsoever.
You know, we're on a boat, so we're constantly moving and rocking, and so are the lights. It just kind of reminds you that you're here on a boat. They reflect the beautiful colors of the water and of the light and the lake, and that's part of what makes this area so fun to live in and hang out in.
Every single client uses their boat a little bit differently. Also, personality goes into the interior design of the boats. Each boat is designed strictly to their personal taste.
You could say that this area of the boat is a collection of everything we've learned. Spending so much time here at the lake, it's comfort meets conversation meets let's just hang out and chill while we're here at the lake. And so the colors are reflective of fun and things that we enjoy being here, we enjoy hanging out, and this room for us reflects that vibe. There's a lot of places to end up on this boat, but we tend to end up on the back of the boat here because you're in and out of the water all the time, and this makes it so convenient. Hop on a jet ski and you're off and on to the next adventure.
Where most of the boats hold 4 personal watercraft across the back. They also hold paddle boards, wakeboards. They also can park their ski boats on the side to be able to do wakeboarding and water skiing, etc.
Welcome to floor level 2. This is what we call the barbecue area, kind of. We like to make dinners up here after being out on the lake all day long. It's hot, and this is the best place to hang out and chill as a family. We do a lot of our grilling over here, but have no fear, we have another oven and stove.
Most boats have 2 kitchens, one kitchen upstairs, one down. One is an outdoor kitchen, one is an indoor kitchen.
So this is where we cook all of the food, and then sitting at that table and looking out at Lake Powell. I mean, that is what we call dinner with a view.
We also have fire pits on the boats for at night, so there's fires on board. They don't have to go to the beach and use wood and build a fire.
Now we're in the master suite. This is level 2, and there are the master suites down on the bottom floor, but this is like the ultimate master suite. So king size bed, nightstands, lamps, fan, a great view out the front of the bed, and then the bathroom is what really makes this room unique and sets it apart from all the rest. This is the master bathroom and one of the best parts of this houseboat, I think, because typically houseboats don't have bathrooms like this. But we love the shower, rain shower head. We've joked all week that if we knew the shower would have been so good, we would have showered like 3 times a day while we were here, but we have the water, thankfully, for that. So this is a great bathroom. It's roomy, it's sizey, and we love having it attached to the master suite.
And while it's kind of breathtaking to pull in behind one of these luxury houseboats out here on the lake, you don't want to wind up behind one of these babies coming down the highway.
The process of transportation is very interesting. Transporting the boat down the road our boats are normally 22 to 24 foot wide, so they have to close the entire highway down. So that requires multiple highway patrol and standard escorts to pilot the boat here. It's only about 150 miles and it takes about 7 hours.
Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism. Hands in the air, partner. Okay, now shoot. They call this the surrender start. A train robbery, a blazing shootout from inside a saloon, fighting off attackers at the old fort. You've seen these scenarios in dozens of Western movies, and now they're built into the Ben Avery shooting range near Phoenix. These guys and gals call themselves SAS, Single Action Shooting Society. They've made a sport out of all those cowboy action scenes. Single action means shooting old school style.
Every single shot you take, you either pull the hammer on the pistol or you lever the rifle.
Keep that in mind. Every shot you fire, you're working with that trigger finger and your thumb or your wrist to pull back that hammer or cock a lever. That doesn't mean there isn't room for individual style or technique.
Some of them shoot duelist, which means they cock with their thumb and shoot with the same hand. I shoot traditional, so I cock with this one and pull the trigger with the other.
The guns you see here are true to the way firearms worked in the Old West. And since speed is half of what makes you a winner, some of these guns are tricked out a bit.
We take these guns apart, polish the interior parts, so they're very smooth and very slick. I mean, you can operate them very fast. And as you've probably seen out here watching some of the cowboy shooters, they can get 5 shots off with this gun as fast as you can get 5 shots off with an automatic.
You shoot your way out of these scenarios with a combination of pistols, a shotgun, and a rifle. Shooters look for every way they can to shave seconds off their time. He loads 2 shells at once. The shooter does all the work of pulling the hammer and the trigger with one hand, and just like this guy, can shoot his pistols from right and left hand separately. It all leaves plenty of room for things to go wrong. This guy has multiple misfires, has to reload 2, then 1 more. Or an empty shell will make your gun jam, like this, or like that.
You can have mechanical malfunctions, you can have brain malfunctions. Sometimes that timer goes off and it's like a time warp and, you know, it just wipes the brain.
Guns will sometimes stick in their holsters. Maybe a target doesn't want to go down with just 1 shot. Watch top-notch shooter Spencer Hoagland and see what it can look like when everything goes right.
1761. Any number of things can go wrong. There's ammunition malfunctions, there's gun malfunctions, and it's all part of cowboy shooting. And in order to be successful at it, you need to be the best one at overcoming those problems that will happen.
And while the bullets they're using are a lot less powerful than the real thing, they can still sting you.
In real life, I'm Rich Tomich. I'm a pilot for a major airline.
For many of the people here, a big part of the fun is as much about aiming for authenticity and character as it is about hitting the target.
In this life, I am Lieutenant Colonel Scratch. This particular uniform that I'm wearing is an 1884 Indian Wars fatigue uniform. It was developed for the cavalry here in the desert Southwest, and it goes along with the uniform that I'm wearing. It's a cavalry Colt, is what they called them.
So was this Gatling gun, but since it's not single action and fires a whole lot more than 6 shots, it's not allowed in the competition. Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism.
At Arizona, you'll drive through the park and you'll see Rocky Mountain goats, bighorn sheep, buffalo, deer, and our stars of the show, black bear. We have 2 large areas, about 20 acres each, with a lot of black bears in there, as well as Alaskan tundra wolves, Arctic wolves.
Some of Arizona's showcase animals can only be seen from inside a vehicle. But don't worry, you don't have to drive all the way to Arizona just to do more driving. Arizona keeps this bus ride running all day long. So you can let somebody else take the wheel while you take in the critters.
Wow, look at that. Oh.
There are also separate sections where the whole idea is for you to get in touch with your fellow mammals, like these bobcats, or pick out a fish and feed those otters.
We're in a spectacular setting up here in the Coconino Forest, so it's up in the nice cool pines of Arizona. And we think we're not only just a regional attraction, we're a national attraction. Families can come here, spend 3 hours, 4 hours go through the drive-through portion of the park. They can walk through the forested areas with our other smaller animals. Plus we have this bird show, which is all rescue birds, and the High Country Raptors runs it. Families can sit there and the birds fly right over their head. It's just a blast. One thing we're very proud of is the amount of space that we give animals. We put them in very massive exhibits, and they can go about wherever they want. So it's a little different than most of the zoos. A lot more room, beautiful area for them to live.
Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism. So who's the genius that puts a sushi restaurant in the middle of the Arizona desert?
The name I go by forever, Twist Thompson. My parents threw me on a snowboard when I was very young, and I just kind of took to it. And look at the little guy twist around or something, and they just kind of started calling me Twist. My real name is Troy Thompson. Snowboarding and bartending go hand in hand. You know, you can be kind of a ski bum and bounce around and do that sort of thing. And then when there's no snow, you got to go somewhere. So I came here. I came to Lake Powell for years and years to jump off cliffs and be on a wakeboard and bartend.
And if sushi in the desert was breaking the rules, Twist Thompson decided to twist a few more.
We do a dynamite scallop. So we've created a sauce, a signature sauce here we call our dynamite sauce. Killer sauce, ginger, all kinds of other ingredients. We put it on a couple things, but we bake it with our scallops, and we put Parmesan cheese on top. And I've had a couple of chefs tell me that you don't put cheese on scallops. Like a couple of pretty strong high-end chefs from a couple different restaurants. We kill it. Ours are phenomenal. They're covered in cheese.
Sorry, no, the scallops, fish, and other seafood served here don't come out of nearby Lake Powell. They are flying fish. Well, sort of. Fresh off a plane from Hawaii.
Airplanes, baby. They'll bring it. I've got a guy named Eddie who calls me from Hawaii. He calls me every other day, early in the morning. Hey, Chef Twist, I've got so many pounds of this and so many pounds of that, and puts it on a plane. FedEx shows up. Beautiful box, beautiful fish, tuna, hamachi.
So, if the fish comes from the islands, where are all these Buddhas coming from?
Most of them from guests. A lot of guests will bring them in and bring them from their travels, different places around the world, bring them in, sign them. We try to put every Buddha that comes in somewhere. We only had a couple Buddhas at first. I think we have well over 100 now. It's probably the most pride that I have about this restaurant, is the expectation of a sushi bar in the middle of the desert to having really good food and sushi in a place that you were not expecting to find it.
Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism.
I am Alan Francis.
I am Alan Francis.
I am Alan Francis.
If Nike ever did a sports ad for horseshoe pitching, then everybody would want to be superstar horseshoer Alan Francis instead of Tiger Woods. Sad to say, but horseshoe pitching just isn't as sexy as, say, golf or basketball. But let's get one thing straight. It's a bona fide ball when you play horseshoes with the Cornville Cartel.
We started pitching together, and one thing led to another, I guess. We invited anybody to join us, and it's just been growing steadily for several years.
The Cornville Cartel are a varied group of horseshoe pitchers with a few bull slingers thrown in, who play regular tournaments at the Cornville Park.
Well, everyone has an individual approach to pitching. Some flip, some turn, some are wildly presented, I should say.
The grip depends on the sweet spot on the shoe. And each individual is going to find a place where the shoe feels comfortable and they can get the right turn or flip.
Players pay a $5 entry fee and throw for dough.
You can get 1 point, which is anything within 6 inches of the stake, and a ringer and a point, obviously, and then double ringers. Is what, if you're going to be Alan Francis, that's what you want to throw every time. So,
how many shots do you get?
Well, in our games, it's to 21 points. But if you go to state and like world, it's the first person to 40 points.
To do a 1 3/4, they're going to grip it on this side of the shoe, and it's going to rotate 1 3/4 time. Some people can take this shoe, such as the big guy, and turn it in a reverse.
Any given Sunday, the cartel is out, minus the groupies, but some of the wives turn out. They also have tailgating parties, but they look suspiciously like Sunday barbecues, complete with chicken, jalapeno poppers, and fruit salad.
Just like brothers and sisters, we fight, but in the end, we're all smiling and having our happy moments.
Deep in the Horseshoe pits, the competition is ongoing, and you either ring it or fling it. And sometimes that leads to a pitch and a bitch.
Most of the guys get mad at themselves when they don't pitch good. So that's the bitching part. The pitching part, of course, is self-explanatory, but nobody gets mad at the other guy here. But we get mad at ourselves a lot because we don't throw good.
No, the Cornville cartel won't be getting any shoe contracts, but they'll always have their so-called Mayberry moments.
That's something Dave come up with. I don't know, like a father and son moment, or bonding, or just good times with good friends. It's like stealing away from life. It's just having good times and enjoying it before you go.
Arizona Highways Television is brought to you by Arizona Public Service and the Arizona Office of Tourism.